Alright, ready?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God has given you many gifts and abilities. It is my responsibility to use them and not waste them. My outlook on life is a choice, not a reaction. I will make my world a better place for myself and those around me. I will do my best not to make a comment out of ignorance. October, Decatur, in the spring. The world is not a satellite of myself. I'm part of the solution, not part of the problem. This is only planting a tree that may be wood. I will do my best to respect your rights. Stop being offended by things that don't concern you. There's a chance I might get back into them. Alright, we are going to have a little bit of fun today. That's a promise. Fun question mark. At the somewhere in the
Fun,
middle.
sir.
Okay? Fun question mark.
Alright. Football is not fun.
Let's pull those little. We had like 3 left on them, right? At the bottom. Yeah, it's the board.
Even if Hokie don't get a goal.
Oh,
Do I look like?
we won't hurt you.
Well, I know that one. I wanted to go and work for like a place.
Hey, ain't no problems with this right there.
And just throw it outside and whatnot, but they move you up, and then you're in this office controlling everything. Well, like, let's say you go out and you do a job and you're in the control room. That place is gonna be destroyed.
I don't know if I've done this before with y'all. If I've done the little Titan deal, like babysitting with y'all. All right. What's up? Oh yeah. Colton Ryan, see who's last at the cross country meet. That's awesome. If Cutler, if you agree, say something horrible has gone on in your life, and you agree to watch Little Titan for a while. We don't pay. You just watch it. We might have something to eat. I doubt it, but if I tell you, you can bust his tail if you need to. Looking at your piece of paper, what kind of power have I just given you? Like looking at the piece of paper there, what kind of power have I just given you?
You know,
I told you, you can bust his tail.
let's go with the implied.
What's implied mean?
Like you imply.
Have I told you what you can do? So which one would that one be?
Express.
Expressed. The expressed powers are the ones the Constitution literally says, here's what you can do. They're expressed. There's specific powers in the Constitution that Constitution tells the government they can do. I'm gonna read just some of them. I will say go get the book. Just gonna read. This is Section 8 of Article 1. Article 1 deals with Congress, deals with the legislative branch. So Section 8, and it's titled Powers Granted to Congress. So this is what Congress can do. And there are 18 things Congress is allowed to do. I'm not going to ask you to write these out. Does it seem like there's more than 18 things Congress does?
Yeah.
Yes. The problem is the last one. Taxation. Congress has the power to tax. Credit. Congress has the power to borrow money. Does that cause problems? Borrowing money is like chemotherapy. No, it's like x-rays. When you go get an x-ray, what's the person giving the x-ray do? They stand behind this big shield, or they wear like lead or something, because they're around it all the time. It's fine for you. I'm just going to go protect myself. It's really fine for you. If you got an x-ray every day for like hours a day, that'd be horrible for you, right? Borrowing and using credit is not evil and it's not bad. It's using it the wrong way that jacks you up. Commerce. Remember what commerce is? Chamber of Commerce, Commerce Street. What's the Chamber of Commerce? Who's a member of the Chamber of Commerce? Businesses. Commerce is business. Congress has the power to regulate interstate commerce, interstate business. Naturalization, people becoming citizens. Bankruptcy, which is a word that sounds just like what it is. They deal with bankruptcy. I hope we never deal with that, any of us in here. Money, they have the power to print money, coin money. Handle counterfeiting. Post office. Patents and copyrights, which that's when we'll have fun today, later. Courts, they have the power to set up courts. Is this area going to need another court in the next few years? Yeah, we're getting more people, we're going to need some more courts. International law, which doesn't exist. International law doesn't exist unless you agree to let it exist. Because we can't make England do something or not do something. They just might agree to do it or not do it. War, only Congress gets to declare war. The president cannot declare war. Is that good? That we don't let one single person decide we're going to go to war with somebody. The president can send troops out for a limited amount of time. But Congress is the only one that can declare war. Putting together an army and a navy. Regulating the military. Regulating the militia, which is the National Guard. District of Columbia. Congress is over the District of Columbia. They're in charge of Washington, D.C. There is a mayor, there is a city council, but ultimately Congress is over Washington, D.C. And then the last one. That's all the stuff they can do. There's a lot of stuff that can fall under that. Necessary and proper clause. Have we mentioned this one? If this one says, here's how it's worded. To make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States. So whatever they need to do to get these other things done, they get to do. That's where it gets dangerous. This is also called the elastic clause because it stretches the power of government. If I tell you, let's say I tell Taylor, you work for me, and I say, okay, your job is to go get, I don't know, a loaf of bread. And you're like, oh, okay. So you go get, well, I need a new truck to go, and Denton has the best stores, so I need to go to Denton. So I need a new truck, and I need gas for that truck. And you can make up all kinds of things for what you need to do this one thing. Does that make sense? That's where Congress gets its power. There's a whole lot of other stuff Congress does besides this. Whose fault is that? It's ours. It's our fault. We're supposed to be watching this, and we don't watch it. Plus, it's the bright lights and candy. Congress offers stuff, offers programs, offers things for us. We benefit from Congress doing stuff, and we don't want to give that benefit up. I don't think we like being in debt, but we don't like giving up those benefits. I had something I lost. Anyway, those are the expressed powers. They're specifically worded. Now, if I tell Cutler, you can do whatever you need to do to keep control. Now, what's that? That's implied. That's the necessary and proper clause. It implies Congress can do this because they have to get this done. It's not worded specific. It just gives it the idea that it can do that. What's that? The inherent powers. Why can I tell Cutler whether or not he can spank Little Titan?
That's your kid?
I'm the dad. It's my fault. He's my fault. So I get to tell him if he can. I get to decide who spanks him and who doesn't. You should never spank a child. That's fine. That's fine. See if your kid goes to jail. I don't know. May not. Spanking is not the answer. It is a answer. Didn't work with Little Pacer. He just laughed. And he got spanked harder and more often. That never worked. Spanking kind of works sometimes with Titan. Sometimes taking crap away from him. I mean, you got to try everything. Discipline is a casserole. It's not an entree. That makes sense? It might take a bunch of stuff to make it work. You just gotta do something to your kid to get him in line, or else horrible things happen. So inherent powers. There are certain things the government can do because it's a government. I don't know that anything in the Constitution says something about borders, but obviously the government takes care of borders because it's a government. You know, it's in charge of the stuff because it's a government. So inherent powers is powers they got just because they're a government. Nobody told me to buy a whistle when I started coaching. I just went and got one. I knew. Gotta have something. Gotta have something to do during practice. I rarely blow my whistle, but I just gotta. I can't go to practice without a whistle. I can't do it. I've been to the practice late because I didn't bring my whistle. I had to go back to the field house to get my whistle. All right, and the powers denied to Congress. I will tell you where to find it. The answer is the Constitution. What happened?
Oh, a picture that came up.
What was it? Oh, yeah, I've seen that. All right, let's see. Powers denied to the states. Okay, you find the powers denied to Congress in Section 9 of Article 1. That's all you gotta do. Section 9. You don't want to know. Section 9. They're not habeas corpus. They cannot deny habeas corpus. They can't deny. They're not allowed directly tax, but that took out by the 16th Amendment. They cannot charge you for exporting things. We can put a tax on stuff coming into the country. Y'all have to look it up. I got you. But they can't charge you for selling something to another country. And Congress cannot favor one state over another. So, Section 9. Good enough.
Do you think they do favor states over another?
Okay. I coach receivers, right? There might be a time where the government does something that benefits this state or rewards this state. It might not always look like, but they could do something like that. I could try to benefit as a coach my kid. I've always tried to do everything I can not to do that. Just not fair to the team or to the kid. I don't know if I've told you this, when Pacer caught his first touchdown pass, I felt like crap. Because you and Kyle were on a rotation. And I don't remember, I think something right before that play, y'all came up and said, you asked me something, who's going in, who needs to go in? And I don't know if I said, okay, Pacer, go in. And then the next play, touchdown, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't, yeah, that's all I thought about is, oh crap, did I just, you know what I mean? So, I think the Congress can do that. They could benefit states and pass something to benefit states or reward a state, or maybe punish a state if it tried to mess something up. So, they can, but they're not supposed to be obvious. Okay. Let me see where the fun is. I don't want to overhype this because it may not be fun, but it's kind of fun. It means no writing. It means less writing. So isn't that kind of fun? Because that's so hard to write. You know, doing this movement, just so hard. Number 5 is the semifinal.
Actually does have to go
Hmm?
Did you never smile, Pacer?
Oh, all right. Yeah, I didn't know.
don't say you need to redo, how they do pictures now,
Right.
you need to redo that one.
Is that a good fight one?
Yeah.
How much?
Yeah. You don't even need or something. That's so hot. All right. Remember that? Godzilla Pizza? Godzilla Pizza in Austin, remember? They did, but that's when it was downtown by the Amy's Ice Cream.
I don't remember when it was there.
Alright, let's see what we got here. Let's
Going
first.
on memory lane.
What is the difference in direct tax and indirect tax?
Anybody, alright, Lakin, did you buy that today?
Which one?
Any of it?
No.
You did? Did you buy that today? It's none of my business. How much was it?
$8.
Okay. But did you have to pay more than what that is? Does that make sense? What cost you more? Okay. Say that costs like, how much is one of them?
I thought that's what
I thought that's what y'all were talking about.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. Well, you bought all that other stuff. He's got more stuff. You got like a box of donuts or
Yeah.
some kind of pigs in blanket or something like that. He's always got food.
They said, where do you buy
Oh.
your monsters at?
Now that's horrible. Y'all know that's horrible for you. Y'all put water in your gas tank? Why not? It'd be cheaper, right? Don't put that kind of crap in you. That's horrible. It destroys your engine. But you have to buy that, plus, and then they push another button when you're buying it. What button do they push?
Tax button.
Tax button. All right? So you paid for that tax right then. So what kind of tax is that? Direct. Direct tax, you. Look at that. Hey, you want me to do something cool? This will be fun. Alright. Oh crap. Okay. I have to think about this. Alright. So a direct tax. See how much I work for y'all. Direct. It's better for lots of us. Seeing this already kind of fun already. We're having fun already. Look at this. Isn't this awesome? Direct. You pay the tax yourself. What would be an example of an indirect tax? Off your check. Your income tax. Do you pay that? It comes out of your check, but do you have to pay it? Who pays it? Your business, your employer pays it. They take the money from you, they pay the government. That's an indirect tax. The sales tax is an example of direct tax. Indirect tax would be income tax. Your employer. Which puts a lot of, we make it really tough to own a business in America. It's really tough to own your own business in America. A lot of crap you gotta do.
Wait, so if you're like tax exempt, where does that tax go? Like, is it just like?
Alright, so like you talk about like farm and ranch?
Yeah.
Okay. It, either you pay less, or like if you go to Tractor Supply, you don't have to pay that tax. Right? And then at the end of the year, you get a bunch of write-offs that gives you back your tax money you paid in. We're gonna get to that in January. I'm gonna really tick you off in January, I hope. All right, deficit spending. This is something America is amazing at. What is deficit spending?
Spending money you don't have.
You spend money you don't have. You're going into debt. Spend money you don't have. You're pre-spending money you hadn't made yet. Anytime you use a credit card, think about, I'm spending money I have not made yet. So when you get that paycheck later, that paycheck is already smaller. You are pre-spending money. You hadn't made yet.
That's about the kind of,
No.
spend somebody else's money.
No, it's not somebody else's, it's yours. Well, it's not yours anymore, it's theirs now. Is that, and what does it always mean? What do you have to do when you borrow money? Pay interest. And that interest adds up, multiplies. So instead of paying back $1,000, you're paying back $1,500 that you hadn't made yet. So you spent $1,500 you hadn't made yet, and you got $1,000 worth of stuff. Is that good business? It's not good business.
Good goodness for the guy that's doing it.
Oh yeah, good business for that guy. Now, if you do it right and use it wisely, it could benefit you in the long run, possibly. But you gotta. It's like ice cream. Okay, if you get a scoop of ice cream, it ain't gonna kill you. If you get a scoop of ice cream at lunch and a scoop of ice cream at supper, and then a late night snack, scoop of ice cream, and you do that every day over that. Now you're talking about, now it's killing you. You know what I mean?
Heavy.
Yes. Little chocolate. Right? Oh, yeah. What we got next? All right, Congress and the President. Defense and foreign policy. Let's look at the President. We're going to get to this next month. The President is over the State Department. The President is the boss of the State Department. The State Department, check this out, negotiates with foreign countries. There are people that work in the State Department that have worked there for 30 years. Let's say you go to school and you get a degree in Russian. Say you get a degree in Russian history. I don't even know if that's possible. You go, what could you do with that? Well, if you have a degree in Russian history, you can go work for the State Department and help them deal with who? Russia. There are people whose career is spent in the State Department dealing with specific parts of the world, specific countries in the world, and they live their life dealing with it, and they're an expert in that kind of stuff. So when a new president comes in, they don't wipe out the State Department and bring in they're going to put a new State Department or a secretary up there, the person in charge of the State Department, but all the people that work there have worked there forever. Does that kind of make sense? So these people are experts in the countries they deal with, and they've dealt with them forever, and they've built relationships. What's up?
So when you hear Secretary of State,
Yes.
what's that?
That's the person in charge of this.
Okay.
They are overall in charge of dealing, how we deal with the world, and then there's a lot of specifics in there. So the president is in charge of treaties. What's a treaty? It's an compromise, an agreement. We make agreements with other parts of the world, other countries in the world. And these treaties, these negotiations are always going to come down to two things. When we're dealing with what two reasons would cause us to deal with another country?
Money and natural resources.
Economics and, that's economics. Economics and, that's economics stuff. Military. It always comes down to security and economics. We make decisions, we make treaties with foreign countries, we negotiate with foreign countries because they've got stuff we want. or we want them to buy our stuff, or we want to buy their stuff, or we need them to help keep us safer, or if we go into a military alliance with us, it helps us in this region, which keeps us safer. Every decision we make with foreign policy comes down to these two things. The president is in charge of that. The president also has another title, which makes no sense. Wait, Commander-in-Chief. In-Chief. I don't know what Yahoo thought that up. Basically, that means the president is responsible for all military decisions.
It shouldn't be like and instead of.
It should be. Yeah, in charge, commander in charge, chief commander, but commander in chief. I don't know why. So, responsible for all military decisions. Does that mean the president is in the room with the little people and designing the attack plans and how everything's? No. The president is responsible for saying yes to that, or agreeing to that, or saying here's when we attack, here's who we attack. There are military advisors that are in charge of the details, and the president listens to those. We had one president who didn't need to do that. Eisenhower could have done it all themselves. But the president is ultimately responsible for all military decisions. If we attack or not, president's decision. What about nuclear weapons? The president would be the one to decide, do we use nuclear weapons? Okay, Coach Cook is sitting there. Actually, I'll tell you, this is not Coach Cook. This was in 1980. 81, I think. Austin College played for the national championship. They played at their stadium. And they were on the, okay, now I've lost track. They could either attempt a 55-yard field goal or try to throw a Hail Mary to win the game. They either kick the field goal and win the game, throw a touchdown pass and win the game, or they lose. And the kicker is standing there, and the quarterback is standing there, and Coach Kramer is standing there. And the kicker's saying, I can kick it, Coach. I can kick it. And the quarterback's saying, let's go for it, Coach. I can get it there. And the receivers, I can catch it. I can catch, And so all these people are telling him what to do. The coach has to make that decision. Do we do this or do we do this? And he has to tell some of them no and tell this one yes. We're doing this. They kicked a field goal, and they won the game. It was like a 55-yard field goal, and they won the national championship. Or tied it or something. I don't remember. Anyway, president has his advisors talking and has to say yes or no to firing off it. I got reminded of something. You remember a couple years ago in Hawaii, they had this missile thing where it was saying the missiles are on the way. This is not a drill. And everybody was just scrambling, okay? We didn't shoot missiles off then. And it turned out to be false. It turned out to be not true. Some computer mess up or something. I know a time where there was a general, probably told you this, there was a general military guy in Russia, and his job was to watch the radar. And when the missiles show up, go tell the general, and the general would phone the dictator, and he would push the button. Well, he saw missiles coming, and he just froze for a second and didn't go tell the general. And after a few minutes, found out it was just the sun. There's like 7 or 8 things in our history where things like that happened, where we were like one flick of a switch away of, everybody being gone. President Truman is the only American president who said, yes, let's use nuclear weapons. When was that?
They told me.
Dropped the bombs in Japan. President Truman, we had just developed this weapon, and he had to make an agonizing decision. If I don't use these weapons, we're gonna be at war for months and months, possibly years, and hundreds of thousands of people are gonna die on both sides. Or if I use these horrible weapons, we're gonna kill tens of thousands of innocent people at one time.
Wasn't there two missions?
Yeah, there's two bombs dropped on that.
One was in August 9th, one was in August 12th. There was a guy that survived both of them. He was in Hiroshima on business, and he got knocked down by it, and he got injured by it, like pretty bad. And he went back home to Nagasaki. And he's in the office that morning telling him what he's been through, and he survived both of them. He lived like 90 something. But Truman decided to drop those bombs. The purpose of dropping those bombs was to save lives. Because he said, if we drop these bombs, it's going to end our goal is to end this war now. End it now, save lives. Even though we're destroying thousands of lives at one time, we want to end the war now. That's the kind of decision you get to make as president. So, that's the president's stuff. Now, Congress. What did you learn about Congress today? You probably already knew this. What can Congress do? They're the only group that can do this. They can declare war. December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. What was going on when he gave that speech? What was that? What was the purpose? What was going on in Congress then? And he was asking Congress to declare war on Japan. President can't declare war. Congress can declare war. So they're the ones that declare war. The president is in charge of military decisions, but Congress declares war. What else does Congress do that the president can't do? Money. They write the checks. President can send troops out. President can do things for a certain amount of time, but Congress ultimately can say yes or no, we're not funding that. Now with treaties. The President, World War I, Treaty of Versailles. Who wrote the Treaty of Versailles? Y'all didn't have the opportunity to learn that in here last year. In U.S. history, I learned about this. Who wrote the Treaty of Versailles? The 14 points. You've heard of 14 points before. Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson went over to Paris after World War I, and he basically wrote the Treaty of Versailles in the Hall of Mirrors, and the League of Nations was a part of it. Y'all remember that one? Now it's coming in. He wanted this. He had all these things he wanted to do. He wrote the Treaty of Versailles, basically. America did not pass it. The president cannot pass their treaty. The president can write the treaty, is responsible for writing the treaty, negotiating the treaty. Congress has to say yes or no to that treaty. Congress can sign the treaty, the president cannot sign the treaty. We don't let one person make decisions with the rest of the world. They talk about it, negotiate it, and then 100 people look at it from all over the country and decide if this is okay or not. So we've got a person in a department that's in charge of this stuff. Now you got the Defense Department with war. The military is overseen by a civilian commander, who in turn is overseen by 100 other people from all over the country. Everybody cool? You know what? I'm like, we're going to have fun tomorrow. We just ate broccoli today. We're going to have fun tomorrow. Okay? How about that? Fun? Question mark. Not fun. Fun? Maybe. Last one. Naturalization. Actually, we're gonna do number 5, but we'll have the fun more tomorrow. Naturalization. What is naturalization? If you're naturalized, you become a U.S. citizen. If you're naturalized, you were born in another place, you're a citizen of another country, but you become a U.S. citizen. You have to go through these classes. You gotta jump through hoops. You have to be here a certain amount of time. You have to pass a test. I think it's like a 100-question government test, basically history, U.S. history test is basically what it is. You become a U.S. citizen. You are not allowed to be president. You can be a senator. You can be a representative. You can, well, okay, you can be a governor. I know California. Today, California, tomorrow, the world. Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor of California for a while. Had to go to California. Y'all feel like we should change this?
No.
No? I do.
They're a citizen.
I wish we'd change it. What I guarantee, make a bold statement. How many of y'all? There's 18 y'all. 17 y'all awake and paying attention. Joe's out. Hey Joe, what's up? I'm gonna go ahead and say, I know none of y'all would make 100 on the citizenship test. I doubt many of y'all would pass it. Most of y'all are going to fail it and fail it miserably. Why are y'all U.S. citizens? You're born here. Okay? Why is a naturalized citizen a U.S. citizen? They earned it. They worked for it. They came from somewhere else, probably pretty crappy. They appreciate and understand what this is.
So like Elon Musk came from a different country.
I would never vote for him for anything.
But he's like one of the smartest guys in America. And he can't.
That's relevant. He's smart book-wise, life-wise, and literally an idiot. But anyway, I know I have to say so. But you see what I'm talking about. A naturalized citizen has all kinds of different perspectives of things and an understanding of what this place is and what it means to, and has more of a,
And they've actually lived in other countries.
yeah. When September 11th happened, Estonia, Latvia, all the little countries in west of Russia that used to be a part of the Soviet Union, they all were the first countries to say, we pledge support to the U.S., whatever we can do. Why were they the first ones? They knew exactly what it meant to be under tyranny and to be under, horrible situation, and they appreciated it, and they appreciate what America was. So I would vote for a naturalized U.S. citizen. All right, last two. Copyright. What's a copyright?
You have the right to copy.
A copyright, here's my definition of it. Here's my rules of it. A copyright gives you ownership of something you could copy. Okay. Y'all are.